Welcome back to Stockholm. It's the Stockholm In-Port Race series. We've had race 1, race 2 coming up. We're just into a start sequence, about 8 minutes to go until the start. My name's Peter Rush. I'm here with Mark Chisnell. Knut Frostad is down on the water, and Mark, what a difference 10 or 15 minutes makes. The fog's started to roll in. It looks like a much different race course.
Yeah, it's a very different picture. We're looking out from the southeastern end of the race course here, and we can see this bank of fog just rolling across it slowly. It is very patchy and it's thinning quite quickly, and a glance to the south indicates, as far as I can see to the south, indicates that there's not much behind it. So I think it's about as bad as it's going to get, and it's not going to affect the second race, Peter.
And Knut, from down on the racetrack, what does it look like there? Is the fog having any effect on the wind?
No, Peter, not at the moment. I mean, the breeze is still here. It hasn't increased much from the last race, but it doesn't look like the fog is really slowing it down. The fog is kind of very stopped a bit. It doesn't move as quick as it did, but I think you will find that by the end of this race there will be fog on the race course. But we're still having around the 12-13 knot range of speed, and it's all looking really good, actually. We're looking forward to it. The race course is 150, so same upwind mark position as we had in the last race, and 1.6 nautical miles from the start line.
Okay, thanks, Knut. That last race was dominated really by Puma, although you wouldn't have thought that if all you looked at was the start. They were pretty far behind across the line. They were second row. They had to bail out. They tacked out to the right mark, and that was really the ball game for them.
That's right. It was a no-choice move. They made the only option. They took the only option they had, and it worked out very nicely for them. They cruised out to the right-hand side. They did one more tack before the top mark, went round in front, and were really never headed from there.
So Puma from Ericsson 3, Telefonica Blue, then Ericsson 4, just 1 second ahead of Telefonica Black on the finish line. Green Dragon, Delta Lloyd rounding out the minor placings there in race 1. The finish positions in this race, race 2, they'll be combined with race 1. That'll give us an overall winner for the day, and then points will be assigned to the overall leaderboard. It's not a big deal for Ericsson 4. Mathematically, they've pretty much got this Volvo Ocean Race wrapped up. But for second place, there's still something to play for between Puma and Telefonica Blue. A 7-point gap on the overall leaderboard, and what happens today could very much have an impact as to whether the race to St. Petersburg is going to have the same meaning for Puma and Telefonica Blue. We're coming up about 30 seconds to the 5-minute gun. We're on board with Puma, the winning boat in race 1. And Knut, they looked pretty good. They looked pretty fast, and they didn't seem to have any kind of boat speed issues. But maybe before you answer that, we'll just count people in to the 5-minute gun.
Yeah, absolutely. We have 15 seconds to the 5 minutes, and I'm giving you the countdown to the 5 minutes now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 5 minutes.
So just 5 minutes to the start, and just to finish that thought then, Knut, to your eye, Puma really didn't seem to be lacking for pace in those wind conditions at all against Telefonica Blue.
No, I mean, Puma, as long as Puma has space enough to really push the boat, they're always fast. And yeah, I mean, the dangerous guys on this import race are always the Telefonica boats because they accelerate well and they can come out of tricky positions. But as long as Puma can sail their own race, they always keep the pace up and they sail a consistently fast race. And I think Kenny Reed really got the strategy sorted out there. He was very consistent in what he did, and he positioned himself really nicely there on the right-hand side. But I don't think on the first upwind in the last race that he really had the plan to go on the right-hand side, because he was really forced to tack there. But it's been clear now, all the upwinds, it's been on the right-hand side that played off, and you got a consistent lift there on the right-hand side, and then in the end, you got a nice right-hander to tack up to the mark. So we're expecting to see the same thing, and Magnus Voxen, who's with me, the local sailor here, he's agreeing with me that in these kind of conditions, it's very likely to see a right-hand shift now, and more likely in the end of the day.
Well, that's what we've been hearing all day, is that in these kind of lighter sea breeze conditions, the right side of the race course will pay off, and we'll see if that comes to pass here. Interesting getting out to the right-hand side, Mark. We've seen people deciding to do the port tack starting behind everybody else, and just for the very purpose of getting out to the right-hand side.
That's right, and I think it'll be interesting to see whether or not anybody goes for that again, or perhaps even more entertainingly if more than one of them have a go at it, which could really prove quite interesting. because they'll be queuing up to cross behind the starboard tackers as they come off the line. So we'll see how that lines up, and Knudus will talk us into that when we get a little bit closer. We are maybe just over 3 minutes away now from the start of this second race of the final import series here in Stockholm.
Well, you can see by that flag fluttering past on the bottom of the screen, there is plenty of breeze there, and somewhere near 10 knots of wind out on the racetrack. 150 is the direction of the race course and the direction of the wind, so nothing obvious in terms of a favorite side, at least going into the start, but we'll see where the skippers and navigators and tacticians think the favorite end lies, and see where the battles are on the start line. We're on board with Green Dragon. Difficult race for the guys on Green Dragon, a 6th place finish after they looked quite good on the first leg, but maybe overstood that first mark a little bit, let some boats get inside them around the top mark, and from then just sort of slid down the fleet. So a tough day out for Green Dragon and new navigator Jean-Luc Nelias. But just over 2 minutes to go, Knut. How is it lining up there now?
Well, all the guys are in port tack at the moment and sailing to leeward of the line, quite far down the line. Green Dragon is doing the same thing again as they did last start, setting up for what would probably be a port start again. I'm interested to see why they're doing this. It seems like there's kind of they want to break away from the fleet early, but the different thing now is that everybody knows that it did pay off on the right-hand side of the race course, so I think you'll find that the boats will line up so they can tack early to head off to the right side of the race course. If anything, I would say that we have a touch more breeze right now. Breeze has picked up a little, so a bit stronger breeze, and all the fleet is actually heading up to the right-hand side of the race course, which is a bit different to what we saw in the first start. So 1.5 minutes left to the start, and Puma is tacking, Telefonica Black is tacking, and setting up for the final approach to the line. So it is a different approach to what we saw in the previous start, really, because all the boats are much further to the right on the start line, and that's clearly because they want to tack early and head out to the right side of the race course.
Yeah, Knut, Mark's saying that it seems to be a battle for the boat, and someone's going to be in danger of getting shut out here.
I think so, absolutely. I mean, the fleet is much closer packed together at this start, and that means that someone's going to lose out big time very clearly. Green Dragon again coming on the port tack approach. I'm surprised, but if they're successful this time, they might get the best lane, out on the right-hand side. But as we speak, it's only 40 seconds left to the start, and the whole fleet is much further back on the start line than they were before. So I would say that Telefonica Blue is going to be the pin and start, unless Green Dragon decides to tack and actually be the leeward boat. And that's what they're doing. Green Dragon just dropped their draggy board, which means they're going to roll straight into attack and aim for the pin end position. I think Green Dragon can have it nicely there as the pin end start.
Just 15 seconds to go.
15 seconds left to go, and Green Dragon is the most pin end boat. And I'm surprised, but some of these boats are far behind the start line. One of the Ericsson boats is so far behind, they're not even close to the start line. That's Ericsson 3. And there is the gun, and Ericsson 4 had the best start, closer to the line, and Green Dragon the most pin end boat. And Ericsson 3 had a shocker of a start, absolutely shocking. That was really disappointing after such a good performance on the first bit, on the first race. And they're going to tack now and cross far behind the whole fleet. And it was Green Dragon that won the pin end, and it was Ericsson 4 that has the best position to be able to tack, and Puma is the first one to tack of the leading boats.
Okay, thanks, Knut. So we saw Telefonica Black. Telefonica Black also heading out to the right-hand side right away, along with Puma and Ericsson 3. Ericsson 4 first across the line, and then at the other end mark at the pin, it's Green Dragon.
That's right, Green Dragon, Telefonica Blue and Ericsson 4 still going on starboard. Everybody else has peeled onto port, so we have Delta Lloyd, Puma, Ericsson 3 and Telefonica Black on port, headed out to the right-hand side of the course looking upwind, the left-hand side of your screen if you're looking at the tracker. Great shot there across the bows of the boat. You can see it's all pretty tight looking across from these guys. Puma and Telefonica Black in a big drag race here. On the other side, you've got Green Dragon just poking a bow out, and pretty nicely lined up on Ericsson 4 right now, I'd have to say.
Well, indeed, and interesting to see such a split between Puma and Telefonica Blue. They're the boats that we thought would be paying attention to each other, but they don't seem to be doing that right now. We've just heard from the race committee boat Knut, 12 knots, 155, so already maybe just edging around to the right a little bit.
Yeah, you're right, Peter. I mean, that's what you would expect in a day like today. And the whole fleet of port tacking boats here, which is Delta Lloyd, Puma and Telefonica Black, It's all looking very strong there. Good pressure. It's clearly more wind than we had in the first race. And Ericsson 4 has tacked back, and Ericsson 3 has tacked on to starboard. They were forced to tack. But the breeze is up, and that's going to be good for Puma. Puma is a fast boat when it's windy and always doing well. But I must say that looking at Puma and Telefonica Black, the two Telefonica boats seems to be able to point a little more than Puma. But I guess the guys who are happy right now is probably the Ericsson guys, because they are always, they like the breeze, they like more wind, they have more stability in general. And Torben Grell is going to be rather happy now seeing that the breeze is up.
Well, Ericsson 4, we know, in the middle of the fleet right now, from left to right, Mark. We've got Green Dragon, Telefonica Blue, then it's Ericsson 4, Ericsson 3, the only boat on starboard tack. They're heading out to the left, and then out towards the right, Delta Lloyd, Puma. Far right is Telefonica Black. That's
right. I think the breeze has faded on that left-hand side of the course, looking upwind. The right side of the track viewer, Green Dragon and Telefonica Blue do not look that happy out that side. I know Green Dragon has just tacked, but I have them at a lower angle and not such a fast angle upwind as this group down on the other side of the course, Telefonica Black, Puma and Delta Lloyd. Right now I'd say those three boats have the lead.
Well, we saw this before from Delta Lloyd, good looking early on in the race. They did fade as the race went on, but Puma, Telefonica Black, and again, it really, to me, to my eye anyways, Mark, it looks like a carbon copy of race one. The boats on the right early seem to be the ones doing the best.
That's right. On the right hand side, looking upwind, that is, it's Telefonica Black, Puma and Delta Lloyd. Puma, great job off the line, pretty much the first attack, just slightly behind Telefonica Black, but really almost rolled with them as soon as they came off the line. Both boats choosing their position on the line so they could get the early tack in, and it's really worked well here. And right now, the sort of form that Ken Reed and his boys on Puma are showing, I'd be a little worried if I was Telefonica Black that I had a chance of taking this one off them.
Well, and behind them on the other side, well, we've got Ericsson 3 who are having a bit of a shocker. They're crossing well behind Green Dragon, Telefonica Blue. Canute, I can see you're right in the middle of the race course. You've got Delta Lloyd on one side, Ericsson 4 on the other. What are you seeing there, and who looks good?
Well, what I'm seeing is that Delta Lloyd is sitting in a nice position there. I mean, if she can live there, Puma will struggle to cross ahead of Delta Lloyd. And I think that they might be able to cross Ericsson 4, but Puma is looking in a good position. If she can squeeze up in front of Delta Lloyd there, she'll be able to tack, and she should be able to cross ahead of Ericsson 4 when they get to the lay line. But it looks to me this is the same game as we saw in the last upwind in the last race. Stick to the right-hand side, get this nice lift as you sail along the whole long port tack, and then when you get far enough up to the lay line, you find a little right-hand shift in your tack and you cross.
Well, they're just coming up to the gate now, Canute. It looks like Telefonica Black is just going to be able to squeeze inside that gate, and it's hard to say, Mark. It's going to be either Telefonica Black or Puma first through.
That's right. Telefonica Black had to make that. I don't think they wanted to tack away from this side of the course at this stage. This is definitely paying. There's more pressure. I think the tracker really shows it clearly there. You can see how much more straight up and down those lines are of the boats on the left-hand side of the picture to the kind of diagonal lines of the boats on the right-hand side of the picture. And that tells you there's more wind on the left-hand side of that image, and there's more wind on the boats closest to us on the screen here at the bottom of the screen. Telefonica Black, Puma have the breeze, and they're just making hay here going up this beat.
Well, a great helicopter shot of the entire fleet there. Telefonica Black out on the extreme right-hand side of the race course. Puma, Delta Lloyd out there with them. On the far left, we've got Green Dragon, Telefonica Blue, and I think we've got Ericsson 3 in there somewhere as well. But they're starting to fade. A long way back is Ericsson 3. Canute, it looks to me like Ericsson 4 is just doing everything they can to hang with those boats, those top three out to their right-hand side. Are they able to do it?
No, I agree completely, Peter. It is the same thing. Puma and Delta Lloyd and Black are slowly lifting up in front of these guys on the left side. And if they can get that right-hand shift up on the right corner, they will tack and clear ahead of them. So I think you'll find that the two best boats at the moment are Delta Lloyd and Puma, actually. Black might be also coming in there, but I think Puma has it. Puma is going to be able to tack there, and if they can finish that tack, Delta Lloyd will have to go behind them.
And there's going to be a lot of pressure on this ley line call again. They're all going to be out in this corner on the right-hand side looking upwind. We saw Andrew Cape on Puma absolutely nail it last time around. A lot of pressure on Telefonica Black. Of course, their navigator is actually the media man for the day, so that's going to fall to Luis Duresti, the tactician, to make this call, to come in from this right-hand corner. And because they're going to get there first, they're furthest out that side, they're going to have to make the call first, and then it'll be up to Puma to decide whether to try and cross them or to tack to leeward and hope that they can make the mark as well. So they'll be hoping that Telefonica Black, which you see here in the bottom of your picture, tacks first and goes a little late, a little past the ley line, so that they come in from high and there's space for Puma to get inside them.
Well, again, a nice shot from the helicopter. For those of you watching us here on VolvoOceanRace.tv, we've got Telefonica Black. They're the boat closest to us. Puma, that's who we think is leading. And then Delta Lloyd and Ericsson 4 in the background. And then the other boat bow forward there is Telefonica Blue, who might be able to come out of this all right. We did see some boats last time sneak in from that side of the course, and I'm not sure whether Blue might not be setting themselves up in that position. They will certainly have an easier ley line to call, and maybe if they can make sure they don't overstand the mark compared to the ones on the outside on the far right, they might just be able to squeeze in there again, Mark.
That's right. It's all going to be about how good a job the navigators and the tacticians do on this group of boats that's going to tack first, and how closely they call themselves to this ley line. If they've got it perfectly right, it doesn't leave a lot of space for Blue to both get in there to tack, to build speed and get around the mark inside them. So it's really Bauer-Becking from that position. He can't cross in front of these guys, I don't think, so it's in someone else's hands right now, and the man whose hands it's in is Andrew Cape on Puma. He's going to make this crucial ley line call.
Well, Knut, how does it look where you are? Because we're seeing Telefonica Blue maybe starting to edge their way back into this race.
I think you're right. I think Telefonica Blue has done pretty well lately, but still, both in the big pack here on the right-hand side have done the best is clearly Puma. Puma has worked themselves now up straight in front of Delta Lloyd, and both Delta Lloyd and Puma will be able to tack there and force Ericsson 4 away. So Puma now already actually straight in front. Puma is rolling into the tack as I speak, and they're finishing the tack, and they're crossing clear ahead of obviously Ericsson 4 and Delta Lloyd. And the question is now, how well do you manage to time your ley line? But as you said, Telefonica Blue has done really well. On the crossing between Blue and Puma is going to probably see Blue, if they're ahead, they're really close, but that's going to be the close battle. And Telefonica Blue is rolling into an early tack, and if they are on the ley line, that means that Telefonica Blue is going to have a nice lead into this upwind mark, clear ahead of Puma.
Wow, a big call there, Mark. It looked like they could have afforded to even go further before they made that tack.
That's right. Good confident call there from Simon Fisher on Telefonica Blue. If he's got that right, it's going to give them a big jump, because every couple of boat lengths they went too far would just have come out of their lead. If they got this call right, they're going to lead around this mark pretty comfortably. But we'll just have to see how this plays out. You can see on the tracker there that blue line from Telefonica Blue is pointing pretty promisingly towards the mark right now. You can see just how much further Puma, Telefonica Black, Ericsson 4 and Delta Lloyd have had to sail past that perfect ley line in towards the mark with the 1 on it.
Now the others are going to be coming in at a much hotter angle. Knut, we've seen boats before need to squeeze up to get around the mark, only to be rolled nearly immediately by someone coming down, sailing a little bit freer from above the ley line. Is that likely to happen here from your vantage point?
Yeah, I think it is, but I think it's a bit bigger distance now between the boats here. So Green Dragon actually is now taking a lure tack on Ericsson 4. If Green Dragon manage to finish that tack clear ahead of Ericsson 4, they will be ahead. But they're stopping in the tack right now and filling the sails. They just need to hurry up and accelerate. If not, they're going to get rolled by both Delta Lloyd and Ericsson 4. But it is Telefonica Blue. It's Puma in clear second, and it's Telefonica Black in clear third. And what is important now for Puma is that they don't let Telefonica Black pass them. Because if Puma finish third in this race, that means Telefonica Blue is going to win overall, because they had a third place in the first. As you know, the last race counts more than the first one.
That's right. The tie-breaking mechanism in the in-port race day goes to the winner or the higher-placed boat in the second race. So Telefonica Blue really trying to squeeze up to this mark here, Mark. We can see on the tracker it's a bit of a desperation squeeze to get around it. They absolutely have to. And that picture, Mark, you can see the foot of the head sail, how tight it is. It's like a sheet of plywood. Yeah,
I think they did definitely tack a little early there, Peter. And you can see when we're glancing at the tracker here that the distance is closing down at Puma all the time. Puma coming in really fast and hot. And Telefonica Blue absolutely got it boned on the wind, trying to get it up to the mark here. I think they probably got another 2 or 3 boat lengths and made this whole deal a lot more comfortable for themselves. But right now, I think they're just about going to lead around this windward mark.
Yeah, it looks like they'll have enough momentum to just squeeze up and edge around, but we can see on this helicopter shot just how close it is as everybody lines up. And, of course, at this end of the race course as well, Knut, they're just starting to sail into the edges of the fog.
Well, yeah, you're right, Peter, but I don't think the fog has moved much closer. It's pretty much where it was half an hour ago, but it's very clear that all the boats except Telefonica Blue really went too far, and they were all outside the ley line. So they're all reaching down to the ley line now, and that's going to hurt them. So Blue is rounding as I speak. If they get a nice shot, nice hose there, then this is going to be a really close battle with Puma and Telefonica Blue and Telefonica Black. And obviously the 2 Telefonica boats all know really well that if they get Puma down to 3rd place, Telefonica Blue is going to win the day. So this is going to be a big fight, really clearly.
And I don't think any of them can afford to mess around here, because you wouldn't want to discount Ericsson 4 here. They're a little bit back in the pack, but not having their best inshore day, I'd have to say. But they're still a danger.
Well, and Green Dragon, it looks like Knut was able to settle that tack down, build speed, and they're going to go around in 4th place. So we'll just give you the mark roundings. Telefonica Blue from Puma, Telefonica Black, and then Green Dragon is in 4th place. Green Dragon just coming up to the mark now. There's a nice shot of it there. And behind them, the 2 Ericsson boats, Ericsson 4, Ericsson 3 still just in the far right-hand corner of that shot, and Delta Lloyd's in the mix there as well. Green Dragon going around 4th place now, and the Spinnaker going up on board the Dragon as they see whether they can get in touch with the leaders here, Mark.
That's right, and desperately disappointing also for Ericsson 3, obviously trailing into this mark in a very solid last place after 2nd in that first race. So coming away from the mark there, Ericsson 4 we're riding with now.
Ericsson 4, 5th place around, just behind Green Dragon, just ahead of Delta Lloyd in 6th, and Ericsson 3, another kind of desperation squeeze, trying to get up and around that mark, but they are in 7th place. Knut, heading downwind, we've got Telefonica Blue, and I think they might be just about to throw a jibe in if they haven't done so already.
No, Telefonica Blue has already jibed, Puma has jibed, and Green Dragon is jibing as I speak, so all of them are actually jibed. And I think, looking at the downwind we had in the last run on the first race, Telefonica Blue actually had more breeze on that right-hand side, and it could be that they're sort of aiming at staying on the same right-hand side, looking up and looking down, and it was more breeze on that side of the race course.
Okay, and we're riding there with Ericsson 3, I think, just around this mark. Smart and Crichton on the bow. Still haven't got this Spinnaker full. Disappointing for these guys, but the race is a long way from over. We've got a lap and a half to go. Aerial shot there, Telefonica Blue, nicely in the furthest boat upwind and up towards the top of the screen. Puma behind them, and Green Dragon. Everybody, all these guys on port. I don't think any of them is quite laying through the gate. Looking at the tracker, they've got at least one more jibe before they can get down through the gate. So it's not as simple as it was last time when these guys were pretty much getting around this with one tech and one jibe. No,
it seems to be a very square course on this lap of the course anyways, Knut. It looks like they're really going to have to work their way downwind here. Well, we've got Telefonica Black. They've jibed now as well. Ericsson 4, the only one still continuing out in that direction, at least among the leading group. We'll see how far they decide to go. But Telefonica Black just settled in. And we'll just give you the deltas around that top mark. You can see just 19 seconds between Telefonica Blue and Telefonica Black, all the way down to 2 minutes behind for Ericsson 3. And I think, if I remember correctly, at the top mark last time it was just 1 minute between first and last. So a bit more of a spread this time around. But still some tight racing near the head of the fleet, the front of the fleet, as Telefonica Blue continues to lead Puma. And Telefonica Black, interesting what they're doing down there. Knut, you can see the black boat. I think they're off to your right looking downwind. How are they looking? Because they've gone a long way further than anybody else.
Well, they're looking pretty good, actually. I mean, I think they're soaking down. They have a really clear path of breeze, and I would say they're looking good. I think if I was Kenny Reed, I would be looking over my shoulder to the right there and see how those guys are doing. But it's also looking up at Delta Lloyd. They have good pressure as well. So Kimo is kind of stuck. Kenny Reed is stuck there in the middle with both on left and right. And it is dangerous with those Telefonica boats because in the light breeze they are so fast downwind, and it's very clear to me that Telefonica Blue and Telefonica Black is sort of slipping a little bit faster than Puma at the moment. So I think if Puma were driving where they are right now, they will be dead even with Telefonica Black.
Well, that's interesting. That's interesting insight. And Mark, it looks like Ericsson 4 as well, maybe just getting back into the mix here. They've continued along with Telefonica Black. They went much further before they jibed, but they certainly seem to be pushing their way up towards the head of the fleet. That's
right. Certainly on the tracker, it looks like they're getting a little bit closer to Telefonica Black, and those guys that have jibed late have sailed out to the right-hand side of the course, looking downwind, the right-hand side of the track viewer. Those boats that have gone out a little bit further look to have set themselves up quite nicely here. I don't think if Puma jibed that they could cross Telefonica Black, and they wouldn't be. I think it would only just be across Ericsson 4. So they've all got to jibe. Telefonica Blue and Puma and Green Dragon have all got to jibe for the gate. So we're going to see some pretty interesting crosses coming up when these guys start jibing.
Well, Telefonica Blue just holding on to a lead over their sister ship Telefonica Black. We know they're going to come up to a jibe shortly. They're not going to lay through this mid-course gate on the heading that they're on. Actually, the entire fleet is going to need to jibe. I don't think Telefonica Black could make it in there either. And Ericsson 3, well, they're taking a bit of a flyer. They've gone way, way out. And Mark, go ahead. We've got Telefonica Black sailing quite high there.
Yeah, that's right. They've suddenly dived up. You can see it on that picture. They're very, very different angle on the black boat to the blue boat in front of them. So either there's more pressure out on the side of the course where Telefonica Blue are, or there's they've hit a hole on the black boat, or something's gone wrong. For sure, right now the black boat's lost a lot here, and Telefonica Blue are going to jibe in front of them quite comfortably. So will that count for Puma as well? And it can't emphasize how crucial this is here, because if the results fall out in favor of Puma, then it shuts down this second place overall today.
Well, we've got the jibe coming up. Knut, you're right in the middle of the action. I can see you on the tracker here, and you must be seeing it all happen as the jibes go in now.
Yeah, all the jibes are happening, and Ericsson 4 is jibing as I speak. It's no doubt that Telefonica Black had made a big gain, and they're actually ahead of Puma at the moment. And Black just jibed just ahead to weather of Puma. So it did make that gain, but I think most of the gain was made early on that run, not in the end. Because in the end, Black, as you said, ended up sailing higher.
Yeah, it almost looked on this as if they were trying to get to windward of Ericsson 4, although I don't know if they would have had any reason to do so, but that's how dramatic a course alteration it was. We're also seeing Ericsson 3 coming in from their flyer mark, and I don't know, to my eye on the tracker anyways, they've maybe made a little bit of a gain here.
Yeah, they have a really good angle looking at the tracks of the boats that were on port previously. It's looking pretty nice for Ericsson 3. They found something out that side of the course for sure, and it's interesting how often if you can get out on your own, you can just sail in clear wind and clear water and settle down and sail on your own numbers. And as we look at that view on the tracker there, you can see Ericsson 3 coming back into this pack in pretty nice shape, given how far behind they were at the windward mark.
And Knut, the boat that really seems to have suffered here on the run early is Green Dragon. What's happened to them?
Well, Green Dragon went also really far. I mean, they went all the way out in the corner on the other side, which is strange. I mean, they seem to really lose pace somehow downwind, and not really sort of up for it, trying to sail a little too low maybe, but they're certainly not as heel over as the other guys. But interesting thing is clearly that the two Telefonica boats are doing extremely well. As I speak, Bowie Becking and Ike Martinez on Telefonica Blue are actually coming up a little bit with a bit more pace, and it could be that they're laying obviously the bottom marks from that course. I can't see that from my position. And it almost looks like Telefonica Blue went a little too far there for the bottom mark.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Knut. We can see that on the tracker. Telefonica Blue are laying the gate now, and the leeward gate. You can see how their course has altered there since they passed through the little mark with the G on it on the left of your screen. You can see how their course has changed. They've come up to lay through that gate. So they did go a little bit too far, but it's not made any difference. This boat is going like smoke across this water. They are comfortably in the lead. They're still going to come down here in really good shape, and they've now got their sister ship between them and Puma. This is the combination of results that Telefonica Blue needs to keep this contest alive.
Well, Telefonica Blue leading from Telefonica Black and Puma. Ericsson 4, well, they're in the mix as well. And then behind we've got Delta Lloyd, Green Dragon, Ericsson 3 coming in from a long way back. And they've sailed by themselves out on the left-hand side of the racetrack. If you're looking upwind, they're right-hand side. And they've really made some inroads here. I don't know if they're going to be ahead of Green Dragon yet or not, but it's going to be pretty close. We've got a great picture there, Mark, from the helicopter showing the leaders.
And you can see how much tighter wind angle the Telefonica Blue at the bottom of your picture there, the white spinnaker, they're just sailing up across the bows of the other guys at a really hot angle. There's either been a shift or they just judged that final jibe into the bottom gate a little bit wrongly. They've given up a bit of distance, but the speed they're going, it's not going to make a lot of odds. They are going to round this gate in first place. That will go with a third from the first race, and it could easily give them the day if unless Puma can get past Telefonica Black on this next lap.
And Knut, how are the wind conditions looking down there? I can see you're right in the middle of the race course. It's a pretty good place to give us an update from.
Yeah, no, it is good conditions, and I think what happened here was that Telefonica Blue probably went a little bit too far for the gate, so they came up with a very good pace in front of everybody, but they don't really lose much on this. They're coming back really well, and I would say that the boat that has been suffering a bit on this run has been Puma. I would say that Ericsson 4 is a lot closer to Puma now than they were at the top mark when they drive towards that gate. So it's going to be an interesting bottom mark rounding. I will think that the boats will go for the right-hand mark and tack around that mark and aim for to get on port tack as soon as possible. Telefonica Blue is just dropping the spinnaker as I speak, and they're bearing away in that drop. That could mean that they're driving. But I'll assume that they will come up to the right-hand mark looking downwind and tack around that mark as soon as they can.
Okay, Knut, that right-hand mark that you're talking about when you're looking downwind, it is a little bit further downwind than the other one. I don't know how much they're factoring that in, but they are doing exactly what you said. And we can see them perfectly here, Mark, as they start to round up and go around that mark. They'll leave it to starboard, they'll round up, and Knut thinks they're going to tack fairly quickly.
I think they'll have to, because they've definitely left a little window of opportunity here for the next boats into this mark. It's a tougher rounding to jibe and set up on port on the left-hand mark looking downwind, but we saw what happened in the last race. It gives you the immediate separation. You're going out the right way on port tack immediately as soon as you're away from this gate. So there is an opening here. There is definitely an opening. If Telefonica Black don't take it, then maybe Puma will.
So Blue from Black following Telefonica Blue around in second place. They've made a gain here on this run, and Puma and Ericsson 4. It looks like Ericsson 4 definitely going the other way, and now, Mark, it looks like Puma's doing the same. That's
absolutely right. I think that was an essential move from Ken Reid. He had to go for that other mark and get himself some leverage, some separation away from the two Telefonica boats. We've seen the side of the beat that he's now headed for, the right-hand side looking upwind, which we're doing now on the screen, the right-hand side of your picture. That side of the screen has definitely gained in the last beat. The question is, are those conditions still prevalent, or have things changed? For sure, you can see how much further upwind that mark is than the other one, because Puma are virtually beating back to it, and they started to go for it from way past the point where Telefonica Black and Blue turned. So I think we've had a bit of a wind shift out there right now, Knut.
Yeah, Knut, how does that rounding look to you? Telefonica Blue did exactly what you thought they were going to do, but how does it look now that Puma's lined up as well?
Well, I think you're right. I think that the left-hand mark looking downwind is clearly the closest mark upwind. I mean, that's the mark you would like to round because it's further upwind than the other. So Puma chose rightly to do that, and that was clearly the only option they had with the two Telefonica boats doing the opposite. So I think Puma's made a good choice. I think Ericsson 4 has made a good choice there as well. And I think what is going to be interesting to see now is the next time we have a crossing with Telefonica Black and Puma, because that's really what this race is about for Puma, because they have to get ahead of Telefonica Black. If not, Telefonica Blue is going to win the day.
Okay, well, we'll just give you those mark roundings again through that gate. After one lap of the course, it was Telefonica Blue from Telefonica Black. Puma was in third place, Ericsson 4 in fourth place. And we've got Green Dragon 5th, Delta Lloyd 6th, and Ericsson 3 trailing the fleet right now as they approach that gate for the final time. And everybody who did go around that other mark has tacked, the whole fleet sailing upwind on port tack, with the exception of Delta Lloyd just going around through the gate right now. But Mark, there's a great view of the way the two Telefonica boats and Puma are spread out.
Yeah, we can see on the helicopter shot and also on the tracker there how Puma have punched themselves further upwind than Telefonica Black as a result of that. The leeward gate rounding, picking the other side, it was clearly the better choice. I mean, they put themselves into what looks like second place at the moment. We've seen exactly the same pattern, that the guys on the left-hand side of that picture, of the tracker picture, are sailing more up and down the course. They have a better angle upwind than the guys out on the right-hand side of the image, the guys that are closest to us in this picture now, Telefonica Blue and Telefonica Black. So it's just a question of how much Puma have gained and whether or not they've gained enough to get past Telefonica Black and into that crucial second place that will make a massive difference in the overall standings.
And Knut, you're down there. I think you're right beside Telefonica Black right now. How do they look compared to Puma?
Well, I think Puma is looking a bit more bow up than Telefonica Black. So that's the only comment I can see from here. Wind speed-wise, they look quite similar. But to me, it still looks like Puma is kind of slowly coming up and with a bit more left-hander. The wind has gone further left. We have that from the race committee. So it has gone further left, but they're not going to move the upwind mark any further because basically we have too many islands in the way. So we're pretty much stuck now with the race course we have here, although it's with the wind a little bit further to the left. So, but it's still looking to me that Puma is slowly crawling up with a little bit more left-hander. And then the question is obviously if this left-hander stays there, they're not going to make such a big gain. But if there's any right-hander in the end here, that's going to benefit Puma.
Okay, so what he means there by the left-hander is that the breeze is shifting towards the left as you look upwind, which is actually to the right as you look at that picture, which is slightly confusing. But hey, it's because the windward mark is at the bottom of the image. But by left-hander, Knut's saying the wind is shifting left and towards the left as you look upwind. So that's benefiting Puma. They have more of that left-hand shifted, that wind shifted towards the left-hand side, looking upwind than Telefonica Black do, and that's getting them up this beat quicker.
And if that wasn't confusing enough, normally in a left-hander you'd like to be the left-hand boat, which is where Telefonica Blue is, but it's not quite working out that way today.
That's because the left-hander isn't on the left-hand side. The left-hander's on the right-hand side, so now we've hopelessly confused all of you. We'll just go back to the pretty pictures, and that is a pretty stunning helicopter shot there. You can see Telefonica Blue still comfortably in the lead. Puma just fading out of the picture to the left. And the real crucial one there is going to be between Puma and Telefonica Black. It's all about second place, effectively. If Blue will almost certainly sail away with this now. We don't often see them caught when they've got this kind of lead in an inshore race. It's all about whether or not Puma can get past Telefonica Black before this finish line.
Well, Telefonica Blue is through the mid-course gate. They're the first boat through, and it looks to my eye like Puma's going to be second through there with Telefonica Black third. And Knut, it looks like Ericsson 4, I think they might need to tack to get through this gate. And that's going to be interesting because it's going to set them up for a tack that I'm sure they don't want to make right now.
No, you're right. I mean, that's not the good place to tack right now because they are very much lifted on that port tack. And they have no other choice. And I think as I speak, they are rolling into the tack. So that was not what Torben wanted to do, that's for sure. But he had no other choice. But I think the breeze is still nice and left for the guys in the front. What is interesting is that the fleet has really split in two. There's 4 boats with Puma, Ericsson 4, and the 2 Telefonica boats in the front. And then you have Delta Lloyd, Green Dragon, and Ericsson 3 in the back. And they're really quite far behind now. So it's the big battle in the front. And the big question is obviously where will Puma finish among these 4 boats? Because Puma needs to finish in second place as long as Telefonica Blue is winning this race.
Well, that's what they're trying to do, and that's just about where they're positioned right now. It looks like it's going to come down to the final wire, though, between Telefonica Black and Puma, as there really doesn't seem to be very much in it right now.
No, and looking at the tracker, I think we maybe see a little signs of Telefonica Blue trying to help their sister ship out here. You can see that Blue's track has just altered. You can see the very different angle of Blue's track to the red one there. They're what we call pushing down or crushing down on top of Puma, trying to get them in their gas, trying to make life really hard for Kenny Reed and give their sister ship Telefonica Black an opportunity to get past and back into second place. Now that's not a question of team tactics. That's absolutely essential for Telefonica Blue. She has to get her sister ship past Puma to stay in this regatta overall. She has to get Puma out of second place and into third to keep her hopes of second place overall alive.
And the fact that it's Telefonica Black that's benefiting is pretty much coincidental. If that had been Ericsson or anybody else, they'd be doing the exact same thing because the mathematics works that way. They need a boat in between them and Puma, and the closest one is Telefonica Black. We've seen Ericsson 4 make their tack. They're crossing ahead of Delta Lloyd, and that tack, Knut, really almost dropping them back from the top 3.
Absolutely, Peter. So that is interesting, though, because it means that they haven't gained much on the right-hand side, because I think Ericsson 4 was clear ahead of Delta Lloyd down there at bottom. So they have actually lost. So that could point toward that Puma hasn't really such a good position as we thought they were going to have. As I speak right now, I would say that the two Telefonica boats almost have the same tracking as Puma. I don't know how it looks on the tracker, but it still looks to me like Telefonica Black is going to be ahead of Puma at the crossing.
It's even out a lot more on the tracker, Knut. I think we can see there that Telefonica Black and Blue have got themselves into position on Puma. They're certainly gassing Puma now, from what we can see, and that is putting Telefonica Black back into this game. So there's going to be a really tight cross here. If this was a team race, Telefonica Blue right now would be flapping that headsail and pulling that mainsail above the center line to really put some gas, some bad wind, some dirty wind down onto Puma and slow them up as much as they possibly can. But in this kind of game, they're doing about all they possibly could. So it's all about Puma's tack when she comes across, whether or not she can get the perfect ley line and not give Telefonica Black an opportunity to tack into leeward of her. And the problem is she's also going to have, doubtless, Telefonica Blue setting up on her wind again on this final ley line in on the starboard as they come into this top mark. So plenty of action still to come here before they get around this mark, and we've still got the run to come.
Well, Kenny Reed on Puma, he banked a first place in race 1, and that's really ratcheted up the pressure on Telefonica Blue. Bauer Becking, Iker Martinez is at the wheel, and skipper Bauer Becking calling tactics on it because he desperately needs to beat Puma on the day to keep any hope of second place overall alive. And if Puma is just one place back, to be honest, it's a pretty slim hope at best, but it is still a hope and still alive. We can see Puma there, Telefonica Black in the background. Telefonica Blue is just upwind, and Blue just about ready to tack on this ley line, Mark.
Yeah, I think so. I suspect that they may actually be going past this ley line. I think they're rolling onto the tack now, but they've made sure they've gone far enough that Puma has to go above the ley line to get clear air on this starboard tack into the buoy, and that again gives Telefonica Black the opportunity to tack into leeward and round this mark ahead. So right now it's going to be tight, but the way it's all playing out, it's all setting up in Telefonica Black's favour as a result of the way that Bauer Becking and Telefonica Blue have played this beat.
Well, the Telefonica team taking on Puma here, and behind them we've got Ericsson 4 just inside of Delta Lloyd. Green Dragon a little ways back, and Ericsson 3, well, they had a great run in the first race, second place in race 1, but they're at the back of the fleet here in race 2, really struggling. But we've got Telefonica Blue on ley line, Black just crossing behind them. They're no doubt about to roll into attack, and it does look like they will lead Puma in, Mark. We can see Puma just rolling in now.
Yeah, and clearly Telefonica Blue, looking at the tracker, they are on a ley line to this windward mark, which means that Puma have forced to go quite a bit further past it. They're attacking more or less simultaneously with Telefonica Black, and Black will lead them into this windward mark. So nice job by Bauer Becking there, and I think if anything he's actually increased the distance between Black and Puma and given his sister ship a real chance of holding that second place down this final run.
Well, we're coming to the windward mark for the second time. We've got just the run down to the finish to go in race 2 here in Stockholm, and it's been an incredible day of racing. The fog, what little of it there was that drifted over, that seems to have disappeared, burned off completely, and we're back to this bright sunshine and an absolutely immense spectator fleet. Guesses ranging from somewhere over 1,000 to somewhere near 5,000 are the numbers being bandied around, but there are a ton of boats out there, suffice to say, as Telefonica Blue leading Telefonica Black and Puma up towards the mark for the second time.
That's absolutely right, and they're getting some great action. They're seeing Bauer Becking keep his hopes alive of this second place overall. This boys have really had the roller coaster through this race. If you listed all the ups and downs of this crew, it's amazing that they've kept themselves on such an even keel emotionally, and that they're still playing this game so calmly. They've done a fantastic job on this beat, and they've pushed Puma back, opened the gap up between Puma and Telefonica Black, and these two Telefonica boats have every opportunity of the 1-2 that will keep Telefonica Blue in the race.
Well, Knut, what are you seeing? I think you're down there near the Green Dragon just now. What are the wind conditions like, and how's the fleet shaping up to your eye?
Well, I think you guys have said most of it, but it is a tricky situation when you end up on a ley line, which means the course you have all the way to the right or to the left to lay the top mark, because it doesn't give Puma many options. The only actually tactical option they would have would be to tack really early and force the other boats to tack early as well, but there was no way you could do that with this constant left-hand shift all the time. What is interesting to me as well is to see that Ericsson 4 has really haven't done much on this upwind. In fact, Delta Lloyd is kept up with them, it's not even closer, and they have lost contact with the leading pack completely. So it's really about the two Telefonica boats and Puma, but the question now is the distance between Telefonica Black and Puma too big for Puma to catch these up on the downwind? But if they don't, they will finish second in the day, and Telefonica Blue is going to win the whole day.
Well, that's the scenario we're looking at right now as Telefonica Blue approaches the mark here. We're expecting them to go around, just a couple of boat lengths to go here, Mark, and they'll need a good hoist. They still need to finish it off. But with this kind of a lead, you'd expect to see them do that.
Yeah, these guys have been pretty much flawless around these inshore courses. They're already winning this series before, or won this series, in fact, before it started today, and this is just going to close it out completely. Another first place coming up for Telefonica Blue. They just a nice clean set. No rush for these guys. They've got a really solid lead on the pair behind them. Into the final run of the final race of the final weekend of the In-Port Series.
And just about coming up to the final of the Volvo Ocean Race overall, but we're not there yet. We've still got some racing to do. We've got this last leg, and then we've got 400-odd mile run across to St. Petersburg beginning on Thursday of this week. But right now, Telefonica Black, we can see them coming in. Puma just edging into the left-hand side of your picture there in third place. Telefonica Black in second as they start to sneak that spinnaker up. The bow goes down, and there they go around the mark. That final run to the finish. Second place behind Telefonica Blue right now. Puma looking safe in third.
Yeah, it's safe, but safe isn't good enough, unfortunately, Pete. They need to get past Telefonica Black. Nice hoist from Black there on the aerial shot. See all the guys on the bow. It's crucial to get that jib down, headsail down early, so the air can get through onto the spinnaker and fill that big sail and get the boat accelerating away from the mark and out of trouble. With Puma now, watch these guys do exactly the same hoist. Everybody, what we call bear away setting. And it's just you bear away, which is turn the boat to the left, away from the wind, and then you set the spinnaker. Pretty straightforward piece of jargon, that one.
Well, there we go. Spinnaker going up on Il Mostro as well. And, of course, Puma winning the In-Port Race series in Galway. And looks like they'll either be first or second in the series out here as well. So a good run on a good way to finish off the In-Port races on Il Mostro. Ericsson 4 in fourth place, Delta Lloyd behind them in fifth. And then a bit of a close cross there between Green Dragon and Ericsson 3 to round out the end of the fleet. But we've got Telefonica Blue just rolling into a jibe now, Mark. I don't know. I would imagine they've done the math and the calculations, and they can lay that mid-course gate on this jibe.
I think they'll want to. Coming out of the jibe, they're going pretty slowly. They haven't accelerated. It doesn't actually look like it on the tracker. They can actually lay it, but perhaps they've also figured that the final jibe down to the finish is going to be this side of that gate anyway, so it may not be an issue. But Telefonica Blue certainly rolled onto port. Telefonica Black crossing their transom. We're riding with Ericsson 4 here as they hoist. In fourth place, they did that extra tact, 2 tacks in fact, to get through the gate, and you can see how expensive that was. They were with that front pack, not past Puma, but for sure they were with that front group of 3. 2 extra tacks, and you can see there how much further behind they are now as a result of that to get through the gate. That is both the beauty and the beast of that mid-course gate.
Well, Telefonica Blue, the only boat to have jibed so far. They're heading back towards the middle of the racetrack. Telefonica Black and Puma, they're heading out to the right-hand side as you look downwind. And Knut, from your position, are you seeing anything that would give any tactical openings to Puma as they try and attack Telefonica Black here? All right, I think we've lost contact with Knut for just a moment there. Oh, that's all right.
Out there. I'm back here again. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I was just wondering what you're seeing from where you are, if there's any options opening up for Puma there as we see Telefonica Black roll into their jibe.
Well, I mean, as long as they are on the same part of the race course, which they are, I mean, Puma is now just driving behind Telefonica Black. I think it's not many options left, but the breeze has dropped a little bit. It's a bit less pressure at the moment. And the only thing Puma's going to hope for now is that something changes with the breeze to give them some new options. But as far as I can see, it's just going to be really difficult for Kenny Reed and his guys to get past Telefonica Black.
Okay, well, they've been on the wrong side of tiebreakers before. They certainly were in their home port of Boston. And it looks like that might just be what happens to them again today. We've got Green Dragon going around the top mark, Ericsson 3 behind them. That's for 6th and 7th place. And up here on board Puma, currently in third place in the race. They won race 1, and they're desperately trying to gain a position here so that they can win the day overall. But Telefonica Black stands between them and overall victory right now. Telefonica Blue mid-course, and Mark, I think you're right. They're not going to lay that gate here. They are going to need to jibe again to get it. The question will be whether they can go far enough and just do one more jibe for the finishing line. And
just looking at the tracker, Pete, I think they can. I think one more jibe through the gate will take them down into the finish line, so it's not going to be a problem for them to have to jibe through the gate, because they've got to jibe to get to the finish. And we're riding with Puma now, and we can't see them, but just in front of them is Telefonica Black. You can see Rob, I think, at the back there on tactics, is indicating that they've got a jibe coming up, but it's not yet for these guys. It will be soon for Telefonica Blue, though. They will be lining up to get through this finish line. But right now, these guys are following in the wake. You can just see it peering to the left of the mast here. That is Telefonica Black. That's the boat they've got to get past before this finish, and following in their wake, it isn't going to happen. But the problem is they can't actually jibe yet and get through the gate, so they're going to have to follow in their wake for quite a bit further. And I think by then they're going to be running out of time and options.
And Knut, I see, I think you're just crossing in behind Puma right now, are you?
Yeah, I'm just behind Puma as I speak, and there's not much they can do right now. The only thing that's going to make a difference now is the timing of the jibes through that gate. And, well, in sailing you can make mistakes, so I guess that's what Kenny Reed is going to hope for now, that Telefonica Black is jibing too late or too early, preferably too late, because that's going to give Puma an option to make the finish line on an earlier jibe.
Yeah, we've seen them also able to force mistakes on their opposition. They did that just coming into the finish here at Sandham a few days ago. They were in that really intense tacking duel with Ericsson 3, forced a little error and was able to slide past to take the leg win from Magnus Olsson and his team. And we'll see whether they start to throw anything like that at them. But Mark, Telefonica Blue just rolling into their jibe now, and it does look like they're going to come out of that pointing nicely at the finish line. Yeah, we can see them there on starboard in the picture, and they're definitely heading down towards the finish line. I think Telefonica Black have jibed a little bit earlier than that line, and that's a good call, because perhaps Puma's one option was to jibe on a very, very early lane line and hope that they got a puff to take them down there, and that Telefonica Black would go a little bit too far. But I don't think that's happened. I think Telefonica Black has now jibed. They've got their bow forward down the course ahead of Puma. So if they can lay this finish, then this is going to be a done deal from here, I think. And we can see both the boats in shot there. Puma crossing some distance behind Telefonica Black. And when you see it in that context, in that heli shot, you can see how much work Puma's got to do to get past them before this finish line. Well, there we go. Your top four at the moment: Telefonica Blue, Telefonica Black, Puma, and Ericsson 4. And I think we're going to see Puma rolling into a jibe as we speak, and Ericsson 4 as well. And the entire fleet now lining up and hoping that they're on final approach to the finish. Not sure that Green Dragon is. They're just coming into view on the tracker for us. But the rest of them looking pretty secure in terms of being lined up for the finish. And it looks like it's going to be a fairly straightforward second half to this run, Mark. Yeah, it looks like a parade of sail setting up on the tracker for here, and on that helicopter image you can see Telefonica Blue, Black off to the left-hand picture of the picture, and then behind them Puma, Ericsson 4, Delta Lloyd, and Ericsson 3 crossing on port behind them. But those guys on starboard are all laying the finish. I can tell you from our view of the tracker, no one in that group of 5 boats in that image has any more jibes to do between now and the finish, and the distances between them would indicate that this is the order in which they're going to go through this line. It's going to give Telefonica Blue yet another, their 4th win, their 4th inshore race win, and that's the tracker image that tells you the story, really. Those 5 boats that you could see in the helicopter shot, you can now see sailing down the course: Telefonica Blue, Telefonica Black, Puma, Ericsson 4, and Delta Lloyd. We have Ericsson 3 just jibing as well. Green Dragon have got a couple more to do. They're not going to make the finish line from here. Knut, you're down there. Tell us what you can see.
Well, I'll tell you that to me this looks pretty much game over on the top 3, because Blue is clear ahead of Black. There's not much Black can do, and it's clearly nothing Puma can do. In fact, Puma has lost a lot of ground to Telefonica Black, I would say, on this run. And although Puma went past Black, they're going to end up in the same line, because Black is able to soak down and then sail lower with a good pace. So the top 3 boats are really much decided here. And in one way we can say that this is good, because it now puts the point difference between Telefonica Blue and Puma down to 6.5 points after today's racing. And that means that there's a theoretical chance for Puma to still pass for Telefonica Blue still to pass Puma on the overall score, but then that means that Telefonica Blue has to win the last race, last leg into St. Petersburg, and Puma must finish last, which is a theoretical option, and I think that we will see that this will probably not happen. But in this race, we have learned 100 times that the things you never imagined could happen, they do happen.
Yeah, if it can happen, it just might happen. We've certainly seen that, Knut, and that is what today's been all about, is Telefonica Blue. Mark, you really can't say enough about the team as just in terms of their teamwork and team spirit coming back from that, because it really was, it wouldn't be overstating it to say it was a devastating blow coming out of Marstrand.
Absolutely, and they spent 3 days as boat builders flat out getting the boat back. They sailed it round here. They got here yesterday or the day before, late evening the day before. They haven't had as much time to recover. They took the boat out of the water, had a quick look at it, checked it was okay. They then started badly today. They went around that first windward mark in last place, and here they are winning the day, which just goes to show you what a fantastic team these guys are in this inshore series. They've just dominated this series right through all 7 venues, and really it's ending the way it should end for these guys. It would have been desperately disappointing for them to have had it shut down today, to have lost any chance of that second place overall on this inshore regatta today. But they've done the job, and just a few yards away from the finishing line now, Telefonica Blue coming in to win the Stockholm In-Port Series.
Yeah, they really do just have a couple boat lengths to go, and boy, they look very happy down there, Knut. Again, a great comeback by these guys.
Absolutely. I mean, they're just crossing the finish line there. That means we have Telefonica Blue winning the In-Port Race here in Stockholm, and it's a great achievement. I mean, after being sitting on the rocks just a few days ago outside Marshall and the whole world falling apart, it's really good to see those guys back in the race, and all hats off to them.
I think we have Telefonica Black coming down here. They're just going to squeak in at this end of the finish line, Knut. I don't think there's another jibe for these guys. They're just going to bring it in at the committee boat end.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the Telefonica Black going to cross the finish line here, and they have no problems laying that line. And good achievement by them as well, by all means. It's a good effort. And Puma then clearly in third place, which will give them the second place for the day.
Yeah, and those are the 2 key positions, because really those are the 2 boats that are still in it for a change of position overall. The one everybody's interested in is those final podium positions overall in this Volvo Ocean Race. It's 9 months of drama, and particularly for Telefonica Blue, as we could list the rock that they hit in Qingdao, the rock that they hit coming out of Marstrand, the breakage on Lake Wan. They've had it all happen to them, these guys, and the fact that they just put this one away so calmly is a real tribute to these guys. Puma there in the image, just coming down to the finishing line. Not far now, I don't think, Knut.
No, indeed, Puma just about to go over the line, and their third place finish, second overall in the In-Port Race Series day today in Stockholm. And again, I think they've done what they needed to do here, Mark. They might not have put Telefonica Blue down and out, but really, they've just about done it.
Yeah, I think they'll feel that it's possibly an opportunity missed, that they could have gone out tonight and had a few beers with this as a job done. You can see nothing like the jubilation on that boat that we saw on Telefonica Blue, and these are the guys that control second place, so they realise that they had an opportunity there in that race. If they could have just got past Telefonica Black, they had an opportunity to put it away, and it slipped away from them. It goes on to St. Petersburg, it goes all the way to the finish. Blue's got an awful lot to do, but it only takes a moment's inattention, a slight error of judgment, and Puma can have a shocker as the Telefonica Blue guys did out of Marstrand.
We've been fairly quiet about Ericsson 4 today. They've had a fairly solid, if uneventful, race series. A couple of fourth place finishes, and that's probably going to be good enough for fourth place overall on the day as well. So kind of middle of the fleet, middle of the road for Ericsson 4. Usually we're talking about them a lot more, but they seem to have done what they needed to do. They've come out, they've had a nice sail, and done what they needed to do, but nothing spectacular or devastating on board Ericsson 4.
No, they didn't break anything. They had a nice quiet day, and this race in many ways is already over for them. It's a mathematical impossibility for them to lose it now. They've just come out here, had a good day sailing, and watched the action all around them, really, because they'll know how a lot of the guys on Ericsson 4 will have friends on Puma and friends on Telefonica Blue, and they'll be watching those 2 boats and those 2 crews and realising the pressure they're under, and I talked to David Endine yesterday, the boat captain on Ericsson 4, and he said he ran out of steam with 2 legs to go, and he was so glad they'd got it done, because he just didn't know if he had the energy to deal with the stress of fighting all the way to the wire for this thing. They haven't had to do so, and Puma had the chance to get in that same position today, but it slipped away from them.
Well, we are on board there and watching Ericsson 3, I think that is, coming down towards the finishing line now, and Ericsson 3 here currently in 6th place after a great result in race 1, 2nd place overall. And I think, Mark, depending on if I've done my sums correctly, Ericsson 3 and Ericsson 4 are going to be equal points on the day, but the tiebreak, I think, is going to go to Ericsson 4 on that one.
And that's a great shame for Ericsson 3, really. They started so well, these guys, this final inshore series in their home port, but the home port jinx has hit again, and it's happened to Puma in Boston, it happened to Ericsson 4 and Torben Grail in Rio, it happened to Green Dragon in Galway, and now it's struck Ericsson 3 in Stockholm. The only guys that have had a good import home series are the Telefonica boats, and that's a long way to go.
Right, well, we do have our overall race winner on the day. Provisionally, it is Telefonica Blue, equal on 7 points with Puma for the day. And, of course, the tiebreak goes to the boat better positioned in the second race. So first, second, Telefonica Blue from Puma. And then in 3rd place, I've got Telefonica Black. And 4th place, Ericsson 4, just squeaking ahead in a tiebreak over Ericsson 3 in 5th place. Delta Lloyd in 6th. And half a point back is the Green Dragon. And that's the results as we make them out here, and provisional results, but nevertheless a great day of racing and really fantastic conditions for it here, Mark. I've never seen anything like this with the number of boats out here. It's really amazing to see the support that Sweden's put out for this Volvo Ocean Race. It's
exceptional, and I think it puts Valencia to shame a little bit for the boats that came out for the Cup racing. I think there's more boats out on the water here to watch this import series, final import series, than watch the America's Cup in Valencia. You were there, Pete. You'd probably make a better call on that than me, but you may not want to say anything about that. Maybe too tough a judgment. There's certainly an awful lot of boats out here. It's a really fantastic show, and the support that the race has had since it hit Europe in Galway and Marstrand, and now here in Stockholm, has been absolutely phenomenal.
Indeed, we had a great reactions in Galway and thought, well, nothing can top that. And then we came to Marstrand and now Stockholm, and let's see what happens in St. Petersburg. Canute, down from water level, any final thoughts on the day, because it's really been an exceptional day of racing? No, I think we've got Canute, caught him while he's talking to the race committee there.
Either that or he's cracked a tinny, Pete, and they hit it in, one of the two.
Well, he wouldn't. You couldn't blame him on that. It is going to be a bit of a race to get in for these thousands of boats that are out here. It's really a spectacular sight, and we'll see how that works, because it is going to be a little bit like a motorway, and the rest of the way coming in. It's certainly going to be crowded out there, and we hope everyone's safe and takes their time. We know for the race boats, it's going to take them a good 2.5 to 3 hours to get back to Stockholm City. So if you're listening to us there on the big screen, take your time. The boats are going to be a little while before they get in, and then but certainly there will be the full docking ceremonies and prize givings given out there. Our results for the day, we'll just put them up there for you again. Telefonica Blue from Puma, Telefonica Black just a little ways back, and then the two Ericsson boats equal on points, but Torben takes the tiebreak. Delta Lloyd, Green Dragon. That's the overall provisional results for the day. If you're following along with us on the website and you're looking for reaction stories, again, the sailors are going to be a while, so bear with us. It's going to take a few moments before we're able to talk to them and get any of their reaction up onto the website. As I said, it's going to be 2 or 3 hours before they come in. But, Mark, look at that. Unbelievable.
I think that's the reaction. You can see it right there. That's the guy sailing home, and that's what it's like out here. That's the kind of following these guys have got. I suspect that's probably Ericsson 3, isn't it, by the looks of the density of the following. So it's a beautiful day. Have a cold one till the boats get back to the dock. Enjoy the afternoon. It's fantastic. Summer seems to have arrived in Stockholm, finally, apparently, from my glancing at the papers over the last couple of days. But it's here today, just in time for a superb import series, Pete.
Well, indeed, and make sure you join us again. We have a different than usual leg start day on Thursday, and we will be covering the leg start out of here from Sandham, just a little ways, a couple of rocks over, a little bit out towards the more open water, about 4 or 5 miles from where we are right now, and that will be on Thursday afternoon. Check the website for all the details on timings, etc., etc., and we'll bring you that start, and we'll bring you the finish in St. Petersburg as well. But for Knut Frostad, Mark Chisnell, I'm Peter Rush. Thanks for joining us.